Good morning. Happy Saturday morning. It's John again playing Immaculate Grid, going for that low rarity score. Coming off I think an all right day. I think it was reliever day yesterday. First time I'd seen 40 saves on the board. Um, I think there were better options, but this is who I went with. So um hit refresh here and we'll bounce right out. There were certainly better options in here, but that's all right. We're gonna hit refresh. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna play some Immaculate Grid. We've only got two teams. Only two teams. All right. So Rockies and Yankees are the two teams. So we've this is the second one of these I think I've seen where it's got mostly accomplishments and then um mostly accomplishments and then just two teams. So let's see. Right off the bat, I think I've got a good one here because he had a very curious career. Played one season, hit a little over 300. Lots of options, obviously, for 300 with the Rockies. You got Bichette, you got Galarraga, you got Helton, you got Walker, you got Burks. You even have like Jeffrey Hammonds, I think would be a sneaky good pick. I think even Ronnie Belliard would work. Later on, you got Holiday and Tulowitzki and Story and Arenado. So you got Blackman, Morneau, even won a batting title. There's so many options. I'm going to go with an interesting one just because he had a one season, hit over 300, never played in the big leagues again. It was for the Rockies. And so that's a gentleman named Eddie. I believe hopefully I'm spelling this right. Garabito. That's the guy. 2005. Only played one season. I'm not really sure what actually happened to him, but I'm gonna hit him. That's three significant digits. That's pretty good. All right. And now let's see. So like for Rockies and Yankees, Denny Nagel definitely works. Holiday will work. Um DJ Mayhew will work. Troy Tulowitzki will even work. He played very briefly with the Yankees. Um who else? From those Blake Street Bomber days. I don't think Eric Young ever played for the Yankees. Walker certainly didn't. Bichette didn't. Galarraga didn't. Castilla didn't. Girardi will work. But yeah, he was manager for a long time. He's probably too prominent. I think Nagel is a better option, so I'm gonna get him in there. Denny Nagel takes 2%. It's pretty good. Um, Silver Slugger with the Rockies. How about Mike Hampton? He was not a little bit of a disappointment as a pitcher, but he had a couple of really good seasons as a hitter in Colorado, so he'll work there. 1%. All right. Silver Slugger and 40 home run season bat. That seems like a good trap. 40 home because there's bound to be, I'm sure there's someone who's just like, oh no, he didn't win the Silver Slugger that year. Um, because someone else had over 40 home runs. Here's an interesting one is Rafael Palmeiro. Maybe I can come up with someone better, but Rafael Palmeiro. Oh, also it doesn't have to be in the same season. So maybe there's a better way of doing that. But Rafael Palmeiro had over 40 home runs in the 1998 season. I remember looking at it one time and thinking that Mo Vaughn probably should have won that Silver Slugger. But in any case, like it wouldn't even matter. Like Rafael Palmeiro could have not won that Silver Slugger, but because he had won a Silver Slugger at some point and had 40 home runs at some point, they wouldn't have to be in the same season. So that would be an interesting pick. Um, Same thing with MVP and Silver Slugger. That'd be an interesting little like trap if if they hadn't won. Of course, Silver Sluggers originated in the early 80s. So I most people who've won the MVP have won Silver Slugger. It'd be interesting to see like hit a landmine of someone who didn't. But I'll try to think of who the most obscure MVP would be. Um and really try to think if there would have been someone better at the same time that uh, at that position. Let's see. As far as Yankee MVPs, you've got Aaron Judge, you've got A-Rod, you don't have Jeter. Um, Mattingly did win an MVP. Um, Mantle won three MVPs. I think Yogi Berra also won three MVPs. Maris won two. But no, I mean there weren't a lot of there weren't MVPs on those Yankee dynasty teams. A-Rod won in 05, 07. And then like fast forward a ways and you get Jeter, or excuse me, not Jeter, Judge. Um, the in the 50s, yeah, I mean you're looking at Berra thrice, Mantle thrice, Maris twice, Phil Rizzuto, Elston Howard, also an MVP. Joe Gordon won an MVP in the 40s, beat Ted Williams. Probably should not have. Um, and then DiMaggio won, I think, three MVPs. Gehrig won a couple times. Ruth won when it was a little bit of a different format. I'm not sure if Bill Dickey ever won. I don't think Lazari ever won. I think of those, Joe Gordon is probably going to be the best candidate there. He's an MVP, a Hall of Famer, so we'll see. We'll see how it plays. Goes under 1%. It's pretty good for a Yankee MVP, am I right? Let's see. People with 40 home runs. Obviously, you've got Ruth, Garrett DiMaggio, I think once. Mantle, several times. Maris, I think just the one time, if I'm not mistaken, just in 61. Reggie Jackson once. Um, and then you got Tino Martinez once. Was it all the way from Reggie Jackson, Tino Martinez? Probably was. Um, Tino Martinez was in 1997. I actually wrote about that in my book, Baseball's Most Fun. That's back. Frivolities is on Amazon. The link will be in the description. But I did write about in my chapter. It was like great seasons that were 1 year off. Tino Martinez had his best season during that Yankee dynasty period in 1997, which was the only year between 96 and 2000 that the Yankees didn't win the World Series. They were a wild card team, but they lost in the divisional round. So I think that's a sneaky 40 homer season. Martinez might actually be in the lead right now as far as uh 40 homer seasons. Giambi, yes. A-Rod, of course. Granderson did it, and of course Judge has done it. I think I'm gonna go Tino. It's either Tino Martinez or Reggie Jackson just did it the one time. But let's lock that in. Takes 4%. Maybe Jackson was better. All right. 300 in a season, 40 home runs in a season, but they don't have to be the same season. Also, you could go like you could because DiMaggio would have worked here or here, like he might be a great pick here, but also part of me is just thinking even though he could be used here, the fact that you see Yankees and you're already in that state of mind, you're gonna be like, oh well, also DiMaggio will work here, and your mind will go away from others. Same thing with like if I picked Larry Walker or Todd Helton, who would both work there. Um, I think the optimal play would actually be someone who did it in different years, just because it'd be maybe harder to come up with. That Reggie Jackson season from 1980, he did win, or he did have a 300 average on the dot, which he's not known for. It was his only season hitting 300, and he hit over 40 home runs. So maybe that would work. That exact same season, and I also wrote about this in my book, Ben Oglivie hit just over 300 and had 41 home runs for the Milwaukee Brewers. And now I want to just pick him. So let's do that. As an example of someone who hit 300 and hit over 40 home runs, but in different seasons, I think Prince Fielder would be a good pick because he hit over 300 in his first season with Detroit, 2012, and then he had a couple 40 homer seasons with the Brewers. So that'd be an interesting pick. But I'm gonna go with Ben Oglivie. Yeah, that's good. That's a good rarity score. So I'm doing pretty well in the bottom row here. let's see, 300 in a season and an MVP. Um, so you don't necessarily need them to align. Um, let's see. What are some good ones? Like I think Orlando Cepeda would be an interesting one. Let's see. Clemente would be an interesting one from the 50s. There's obviously a whole bunch of options. Lou Boudreau, again, doesn't have to be the same year, but I think every example I've listed so far has been the same year. Um, so lots of options. I'm trying to think of which one will end up being the most obscure. It would be actually the most obscure would be like the other day we had like 300 like some relievers who had 300. It'd be interesting to see if like Willie Hernandez or Dennis Eckersley had ever had like a season where they went 1 for 2 or something like that. But I don't know that off the top of my head. And I'm not going to blow what should be a pretty easy one. So, um, oh, let's see. What's my most obscure 300 season? Um, while we're on the theme, we could go with Elson Howard. And I those might have been different years. Um, which would be helpful. Um, be such a flex if I like if Vita Blue went 3 for 10 1 year or something like that, but because he won an MVP as well. Let's see, other pretty obscure MVPs. Jeff Burrows. I'm not actually sure if he hit 300. So, Fred Lynn would be a cool pick. Ooh, I got one. I got one. Let's see how this does. I've played this before. I'm not sure if it was when, I think it might have been right before I started doing the videos. It was like 300 in a season, and 20 wins. And Dontrell Willis would have been a popular one, but Walter Johnson had, I think, I have to make sure I classify this right. So just between American and National League um, seasons, I think Walter Johnson had something like it was like the third or fourth highest batting average ever in a season for a player that didn't qualify for the batting title, if that makes sense. It was like 420, um, something along those lines. And he did win an MVP in like 24, 25, one of the years the Senators won the pennant. Okay, that's a good pick. That's a low rarity score for one of the greatest pitchers who ever lived. I'm glad I stuck that one out. I could have gone with someone probably a lot more obvious, which of course I am going to do up here. So Silver Sluggers are just since the 1980s. Um, let's see. So like I want to say George Brett would be a really powerful play here because he won in 1980, and there's no way he didn't win the Silver Slugger the year he hit 390, and I think that was the first year. Um, and then after that, Fingers wins the next year. Don't think he ever, probably never won a Silver Slugger. Um, and let's see, it's just keeping myself honest, but I don't think any other pitcher has won the MVP and a Silver Slugger, unless maybe Kershaw did it, but I don't think he did. Um, and then let's see, you could go with Yount, he'll work, Ripken will work, Mattingly. And so really just the question is, as I'm thinking about these MVPs in my head, number one, are there any like landmines? And number two I mean, there's not really a ton of obscure MVPs. Maybe Terry Pendleton in 1991 might be an interesting one to go with. Um, Pretty sure he would have won the Silver Slugger at third base. Like I don't think there was anyone better. Um, he won the batting title. And he's certainly more obscure than George Brett. The only question is, would people remember the Silver Slugger started in 1980 and that George Brett? But that was also a big year. So I'm going to go with Pendleton. What? Oh man, really? Whew. All right. So I think this is going to be one of the grids that had the best, best highest scoring, and I'm going to go down as having gotten it wrong. No kidding. Really? They didn't give Terry Pendleton the Silver Slugger ever, including the year he led the league in batting and won an MVP because of it? Maybe Bonilla, maybe? I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at that. That's crazy to me that he didn't win the Silver Slugger that year. I was really going for it. Really going for it there. All right, 40 home runs and a Silver Slugger. Let's at least try for that. I mean, there was so many options, and I hit the landmine. I did it. I hit the landmine. All right. That's all right. Um, I don't know. 40 home runs and a Silver Slugger. Who's a who's a semi-forgettable person who's gotten 40 home runs but won a Silver Slugger? Greg Vaughn ever won a Silver Slugger? I don't even think he won a Silver Slugger. I would just hit another landmine if I did that. Uh, I'm sure David Justice won a Silver Slugger. Let's just get him in there and eat crow on this one. So I was gonna be sub 100. Okay. There were obviously a bunch of choices I could have gone with, so I'm not gonna go through them all. Bonds was popular, Judge was popular, Helton was popular. Each of these guys shown up multiple times here. Look at these high percentages, and I'm the get. Look at this. This is 38,000 people out of 71,000. Well, more than half have gotten 9 out of 9. And I'm the guy because of my hubris. Had to go with Terry Pendleton. So rather than going through the you can ignore this news. I never click on any of that stuff. Rather than so Terry Pendleton, sure enough, he takes first in the MVP in 1991. He doesn't win a Gold Glove. He does the next year. He's not even an All-Star, and he never in his career wins a Silver Slugger. So who won the Silver Slugger that year? Let's see. Best way to figure that out, we'll go here. Uh, they list them anywhere? There's got to be an easier way to do this, but I'll just go here and try to figure it out. Uh, my guess is either Bobby Bonilla or Matt Williams. I'm by no means am I going through this the most efficient way. So not Matt Williams, was Bobby Bonilla. You're just going on a journey with me because I can't believe my hubris cost me a sub 10 grid score. 91, Silver Slugger as something. I'm just going to click this. That was the easier way. Howard Johnson won the Silver Slugger that year. He hit 259, but he led the league in home runs and RBI. Okay, I get it. Yep. I should have thought there was going to be a little too much competition there, and Pendleton's MVP season was not one of the strongest ones. So, all right, well, egg on my face, but hopefully it was at least entertaining for everybody. So, thanks a lot for playing along. I'm sure everyone's gonna have way good rarity scores in the comments. Please post them. I love to see it. I love to see people beat me, and I'm sure a lot of you did today. So, thanks so much for playing. We'll be back at it tomorrow. And I'll just be cursing out Howard Johnson for the next 24 hours. Peace.